Green Mountain Coffee and Ashoka's Changemakers have come together to find and help fund the most innovative ideas and organizations that strengthen and improve communities in New England and New York. Finalists have been announced, and anyone can vote for their 3 favorite ideas from now until June 30th at 5 p.m. Just visit www.changemakers.com/revelation to read the entries, vote, and get inspired. Charles Best leads DonorsChoose.org, a website which liberates every public school teacher to be a changemaker and enables any citizen to be a philanthropist. At DonorsChoose.org, teachers submit proposals for materials or experiences that their students need to learn. Any individual can search project proposals by areas of interest, learn about classroom needs, and choose to fund the project he or she finds most compelling. And Charles has also received a great deal of recognition from the Stanford Business School, the Tech Museum of Innovation, Fast Company, Ashoka, Oprah Winfrey, and the national media, including the New York Times. He has been described as the future of philanthropy. Charles, I'm extremely glad to invite you to the discussion for Revelation of Action with Changemakers and Green Mountain Coffee. So really welcome, and thank you very much for being here.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored to participate.
The first question is from Brooklyn Food Coalition, Revelation of Action entrant and partner. The recent disaster in the Gulf of Mexico shows us that the U.S. needs vibrant social movements to shift our society, to protect our people and planet more effectively. If we want these movements to be democratic, their activists will need to be able to make decisions in democratic forums. How can philanthropy support social movements that are democratic and controlled by their activists, and not only by corporate-structured NGOs with very limited missions and decisions made by often unelected boards?
That's a great question. I think what the questioner and what DonorsChoose.org share is a belief that people on the front lines often can come up with the smartest, best targeted micro solutions than people from on high who are coming up with top-down programs. And in the case of DonorsChoose.org, that's our belief that classroom teachers often know their kids better than anybody else in the system and can come up with educational interventions, micro-interventions, that are every bit as effective and innovative as what might come down from academia or from the school system headquarters. And I think that to the questioner's point, the philanthropic sector needs to adopt models, crowdsourcing models, democratizing models that tap into the pent-up expertise and imagination of people on the front lines.
Here's a question from Hollaback, the Revelation of Action finalist for You Are a Changemaker, Hollaback. How direct is too direct when asking individuals for funding?
I think sometimes people think that DonorsChoose.org is proposing itself as a model of giving, of direct giving, per the questioner's point, for the whole sector. And we'd be the first to say that micro-restricted giving, peer-to-peer philanthropy, is not the right model for the entire sector. As one simple example, just using the education arena, if someone was supporting an after-school tutoring program, it's probably not efficient or effective for the donor to restrict their donation just to the desks that the tutors and students are going to use during the after-school program. It's a simple example where micro-restricted giving is inappropriate and where the DonorsChoose.org model should not be applied. We do think that direct giving can be a particularly delightful giving experience, and as such is something that can engage people who might not otherwise be engaged in an issue at all. 70% of the people who give at donorschoose.org have never before donated to public schools. And one reason why we're able to capture these folks who otherwise might not be taking any philanthropic interest in the state of our public schools is because of the direct giving satisfaction that our site delivers.
A couple more questions from Hollaback. There are a couple new crowdsourced funding sites like Kickstarter and the actor Edward Norton's CrowdRise. What are the risks and benefits of initiatives like these?
Well, I think one risk was alluded to by the prior question, and that risk is crowdsourced philanthropy being seen as a cure-all and as a prescription for the entire sector, when in fact crowdsourcing is really should be seen as one component of an overall solution. As the most direct way to put that, while we absolutely do want to tap into the pent-up expertise of classroom teachers, because we think that people on the front lines often can come up with the best ideas, that should never be seen as the single way that we develop education reform or develop educational solutions. Obviously, it's equally important to have smart researchers in the university doing studies, and it's equally important to have really smart school leaders. So being seen as a panacea is maybe one risk. Another risk is fraud. A crowdsourced site engages a lot more people, and just by virtue of that fact, increases, in some respects, the chance that fraud can occur. One of the things that donorschoose.org does, which really distinguishes us from a philanthropic eBay or a philanthropic Craigslist, is that we vet and authenticate each teacher's project request before posting it. We fulfill the project when it's funded. We purchase the resources and have them shipped to the classroom. We provide a platform so that every teacher for every project publishes photographs and thank you letters for the project that they got funded. And that goes a really long way in guaranteeing the integrity of the teacher-donor exchange. But there is something inherent in a marketplace model, in a crowdsourced approach, that can sometimes tempt bad people to get involved. And I think it could be that whereas in a for-profit setting, in a for-profit marketplace, people are a little bit more accepting of the idea that 1 in every 1,000 transactions will be fraudulent. The thing you think you bought will not actually be shipped. I don't think that that's an acceptable standard, the 1 in 1,000. I don't think that's acceptable in philanthropic giving. I think people are much more upset and much more would be much more angry about even a 1 in 1,000 incidence of fraud within a charity.
So, on that issue of trust, I think that's a key component of what you're describing here. Trust in the organization and in the transaction of whatever service it might be. When it comes to innovation and social change, that's a service as well that needs to be facilitated to the extent that it should be on both the organization who's facilitating it. I guess all parties have to be satisfied on that level. So another question from this entrant is because they are doing something completely new and different. If a project, say, lies just outside of traditional foundation scope, when cold proposals and LOIs aren't working, how can you more effectively get foundations engaged before you were to submit and help them to see outside the box?